Astro decided last year that it was going to do something different with its smartphone lineup. The Astro brand was to be dedicated to the more premium smartphone offering, and the newly announced Logic brand was to focus on the more affordable side of things. We're yet to see something from their premium line of smartphones, but on the budget side, we have the top dog, which is the Logic L63. In the box, it comes with a USB-C cable and the charging brick, a silicone pouch, and a pair of earphones, some paperwork, and this tool that you can stick on the back of the phone to do stuff with it, like using it as a stand or a fidget spinner. This phone is a 6.3-inch HD Plus IPS display with a notch up top housing the 8-megapixel selfie camera. The buttons are over the right edge. The top edge has the headphone jack, with the bottom having the USB-C port for charging and data transfer, as well as the holes to the left and right of the port, hiding the loudspeaker on one side and the primary microphone on the other. On the back is the triple camera module with a quad LED flash as well as the fingerprint scanner right next to it. If you're wondering where the SIM tray is, well, this phone does not have one. That's because it has a removable back cover and a removable battery, whose capacity is 3800 mAh. There are also two micro SIM slots for the SIM and a micro SD card slot, which is above the SIM 1 slot, which can handle memory cards of up to 128 GB. This should make repairing this phone a whole lot easier than the sealed ones, that's for sure, but it does make it a bit thicker than other smartphones like the itel P37. The L63 is running Android 11 and mostly stock Android apps. Response is alright for a phone in this price range, and I didn't experience any lags or stutters. Even though it takes its time reacting when navigating the UI or opening apps, it's consistent. It's almost like a feature, reacting at a relaxed pace. For stuff like entering split screen mode, you press the recent apps button and then long press on the app icon. This will launch a little menu where you can select split screen on the supported apps. An interesting observation I made is the phone comes with just one wallpaper pre-installed. One! I mean, it's not a big deal for a lot of people because they'll just put a custom one from the gallery and call it a day, but it was interesting that this only comes with just a single wallpaper. But otherwise, the software experience is alright, nice and clean, minimal bloatware, and not too many bells and whistles that could otherwise compromise the performance. After all, it's running low-end hardware. Software side, it's focused on being usable with little to no fancy tricks. The L63 comes with an octa-core processor as well as 3 GB of RAM and 32 GB of internal storage. It keeps up well with the daily routine with nothing much to write home about, but that's just on the software side of things. Both SIMs support 4G, but only one SIM at any time can connect to a 4G network. And also Zol and Tel1 SIM cards are not supported, which is a bummer. The battery is small by today's standards, just 3800 mAh, which is a lot smaller than the 5000 mAh units that come in the GTEL Infinity 9 or the Tecno Spark 7, which are its main rivals. And that really affects the endurance test as well, where after an hour each of YouTube streaming, gaming and video recording, it had lost 64% of its battery. Heavy users might struggle getting past a day on a single charge here. Also, the phone heats up a lot under stress. When the video recording portion of the battery test was done, the phone was considerably warmer than all other smartphones that have gone through the same test this year. Making the back cover removable seems to have shortchanged the L63 on thermal performance as well as on battery life. The display also has very poor visibility in daylight. It is highly reflective even at maximum brightness, which makes it hard to use it in broad daylight or even in well-lit environments. The main camera is a 16-megapixel unit with heaps of features. One that I love is Pro Mode, which lets me be more creative with my photos with manual control. Image quality is quite decent. The sharpness and detail is right about in line with what GTEL managed in the Infinity 9 and slightly better than what the Spark 7 did. In some very bright scenes, however, the highlights are a bit blown out, but generally it is a very capable camera. The focus, however, is always hunting and usually can't lock on to what you want to be in focus unless you tap on the screen, and there were moments when the shutter button just froze. I hope it's something they can sort out via software updates. It's a passable camera. It pretty much sits in the middle of the Infinity 9 and the Spark 7 given the focus does not let you down. In isolation, the Logic L63 is an average performer. It's got an average battery life, an average camera, average performance. It's a phone you would consider for someone who is not too fussy about tech and just wants a phone that works. But as a consumer, I do not see a product in isolation, and with the $180 price tag on the L63, it makes me wonder if it has more value than its competition, and unfortunately it does not, both on paper and in the real world. It has the smallest battery, the worst display, and a mere camera compared to the G-Tel Infinity 9 or the Tecno Spark 7, both of which are $30 and $35 cheaper than it. In fact, for the same money you can get the 4GB version of the Tecno Camon 17, which is almost twice the phone in almost every way. In isolation, the Logic L63 is average. Against other products in the market, it is a complete bloodbath. Even with the credit facility for civil servants, it still has to contend with G-Tel offering the same service with smartphones that are cheaper. It's going to be a tough sell, the Logic L63. Thanks for watching.